Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant/rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's see what these tea leaves have to say today. Oh, goodness. It is the equinox today, so that means it is either autumn or spring, officially, wherever you are. Time for celebration. Hopefully you all are doing something special. And so I am recording during the day. And I just want to let you know, you might hear some ambient sounds. I can't really control what's going on outside. And my daughter is usually asleep when I'm doing my readings. But obviously she's awake during the day. So you might hear her playing with Dad. Down in the playroom. So let's see. Our card for today is the Knight of Cups. And this is actually, I know, I always laugh at this. I know I say so many of them are my favorites, but I love this one. I love the peacock. I love its relationship to Juno. I love Cancer. Cancer people are some of my favorite people. No offense, Pisces, because you are like the sibling to the Cancers. I think you all are very closely tied. But really that emotional wealth that we find in this card. The Holy Grail, full of those beautiful, creative, life-giving waters, those sweet waters. A beautiful, beautiful thing. All right, so I have two people, and they look like they're standing close to one another. I almost feel like we have a heart right here. We have this person kind of pointing over to here on the edge, and this one looks like a heart as well. So, and this is also in that spiritual metaphysical zone. This is a love beyond love. This is, you know, like the love of poets. Some high form of just ecstatic love. Does it have to be romantic? No. Okay, but it can be. Maybe it is. I feel like there's really an impulse towards romantic gestures or gestures of love. Okay, taking care of your family, doing, you know, bringing a beautiful gift to them. You know, I know that we've been talking a lot about your movement towards work that is meaningful to you, that is making money for you, resources for you, making connections. Maybe this is creative. Maybe this is within your actual career path, or maybe your career path is creative. I don't know. But I feel like this is almost like you've created something you're very proud of. Something that you feel like you can bring to those you really care about. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, your kids, your significant other, your friends group, the people who matter, right? And really showing them, look at what I've created. Look at what I've done. I've finished school. I've graduated. I got the job that I've been wanting. I started a business. It's starting to do well. You know, whatever it is. There's a lot of, not pride per se, but I feel like you are proud of yourself. And you should be. And I also think that you want those you love to be proud of you too. I also think that there is a movement towards desiring closeness. Okay. I think that you are really just looking for a space that is close, that is sensitive, and that is safe. You know, kind of that warm return home. This can be an individual person. This can be within a collective. Okay, this could even be with you, yourself. We have right here, it looks like a flower, but it also looks like an arrow, right? And I see it kind of, well, everybody's pointing today, it seems. We have an arrow pointing over here. Now up here we have a person riding an animal, maybe a horse, I would say. And it looks like they are pointing this way, back over to these people who are pointing, who are pointing at this heart. Because this particular heart is in the spiritual metaphysical zone, I feel like there is a real, how do I explain this? We talk a lot about the beloved on this channel. Now, the beloved, in my estimation, is often an interior concept of, or a construct of an archetype. This could be your animus, your anima. This could be like a sacred beloved. This could be a relationship with the divine, with God, with goddess, whatever else. And so these sacred unions, this kind of hieros, I think that's how you say it, kind of the, you know, the kind of celestial spouse, you know, the unificato, all of these sacred unions, the chemical wedding, okay? And I am a Jungian, I will say. I don't feel like I belong to many things. Somebody asked me if I was Wiccan the other day on one of my posts here, and I'm not. But I honor all systems. I do. You know, but I would say I don't adhere to any of them. You know, I'm not initiated anyways. I adhere to many of the different, you know, things that come from them. But I'm not a good belonger. I never have been. I have that, as soon as you tell me something, like I have to do something or I have to believe something or whatever, I have that kind of rebellious spirit, I think, for better or worse. And I try to work on that. But for the most part, yes, I do not belong to anything besides my family and maybe that I am a Jungian. I have a particular fondness for Jung in this system because it is applicable to all systems, religions, magic, occult, so on. And so, you know, in this system, there is this idea of kind of marrying one's interior opposite. This is an outmoded, kind of an outmoded dualistic thinking that there's the man, the woman, but then there's also, you know, and that would be somebody in their counterpart. As we see in deities, their consort, right? So 2 halves of the same whole, male, female. And then, you know, then there's the unified, which would be the hermaphrodite or what is it called now? I feel bad. I lose my words. It's not because I don't care, but I just lose my words sometimes. Intersexual, I think, is what we call it now. I forget. Or intersexed. I don't know. But, you know, basically, the unification of the two. Or we could think of the sun and the moon. These are, you know, this is that dualistic thinking as well. So when we see this heart kind of in the more metaphysical zone, there is this idea that there is a deep self-work going on. And through this acceptance, love, integration of parts of self, this unification, this is a doorway to the divine. This is where we go on to align ourselves with the cosmos. Beyond duality, these are just the first steps, right? Finding that duality. And that's why, you know, this idea of these two parts of this, you know, male, female, plus, or negative, positive, black, white, whatever. These are outmoded ideas, but they're also just the very beginning. This is where the profane steps into the temple. That priestess, high priestess, upon her throne, she smiles upon you, and you decide, am I going to go through those columns of duality onto and beyond the spectrum, right? The spectrum is those rooms of many colors, the bridge that is rainbowed. Okay, these are alchemical imagery. Hermetic, sub rosa, whatever. But this is just an invitation. This is the first work we really do, but it's the longest work. As far as I can tell, I don't know. I'm still doing it. And this is very much related to that individuation process we like to talk about here too. The integration of the archetypes. You know, a lot of us get really, I think, into these hero cycles. Whenever I see, you know, upon the horse, of course, we're thinking, this is the knight, this is the king, this is the, you know, you can see in the tarot, this is often the imagery, the horse, the knight, the page, whatever. And when we get into those, you know, warrior hero cycles for ourselves, you know, we go on those kind of odysseys, those quests. But it's easy to, I think, get lost in a lot of that, right? I think that the fun thing about life is that we realize we don't have to be one archetype. We don't have to be one thing. We don't even have to be 1, 2, 3 things. We could be all of the things. And I think that's kind of the work of the magician, the work of the Hierophant, the one who is on the path to enlightenment. And so we also see, as I forgot to point out, this is we're making that relation. We have the magician here. Stick, wand, magical device in hand. Okay? Waving it up, creating your own reality. Engaging those beautiful parts of self that you have explored, that you have come to know, implementing them in the work that you're doing, but in the life that you're living. I feel like over time, we compartmentalize parts of our lives. And that's just, I think that's because, there's so many reasons, not one. But it is efficient in some way, right? Especially emotionally. But as we grow, we integrate, these things begin to show themselves like the many-faced God, if you can think of, something like this, where we are so many things in one. I like to, what was that? Scanner Darkly, I think it was, the movie with Robert Downey Jr., I think was in it. Well, anyways, there's a scene where I think somebody is being interrogated, but their face, maybe it's the police officer, whoever it is, their face is changing over and over and over and over again, right? Shifting, shape-shifting, whatever. And, I think often of people who are super, working within themselves, integrating those archetypes, those magicians, you every once in a while you'll encounter one of them. They might not even be an occultist or a holy person or any of these things. It could just be, some guy down the block. You see him at the post office or whatever. And he has that aura, but then you really talk, it's almost like the shape-shifting essence, right? As they speak in different ways, as they, talk about different things, whatever, it's all, and I don't, I'm not saying somebody who's super unhinged, although maybe that too, but there are people who walk among us who are so many things at once, and it is something to behold. For me, I aspire to it. Pisces, I think that you are one of the few of the signs, the zodiac signs, that really is naturally, you have the natural disposition to be very fluid in your identities, personas, but even deeper than that. I think that, and maybe this is just a personal, shame or something I've picked up on throughout my life, that people want us to be one thing that they can recognize. Oh, you act so differently between people. Oh, there's a thing called code switching where you speak differently depending on who you're with. Well, I still work on that because I have really worked hard to drop some of my accent, my phraseology, from when I was younger. Not because there's anything wrong with it. I just live in a whole different part of the country. And I think it is, it's more disarming, I guess, to assimilate to where I'm at. And that, sometimes that makes me, even now as an old person, as an old lady, it makes me feel kind of shameful, like I'm hiding myself. But it's not that. And people really don't like that in other people. They don't like when they see something that they didn't perceive. Oh, you're fake. You change from one place to another. You, this, that, whatever. But we all do it. Some people, just have the natural ability to cultivate that in such a way that is beautifully dynamic. We call these people usually worldly, right? Knowing. They access parts of themselves that other people don't understand. They've never even maybe considered, have no understanding of these deep places within self, within the collective psyche. And often people are shamed for this. Meant to, to hide. They have to go hide. Sequester themselves. Hide, only show parts of themselves to certain groups of people. And I think this is how we get to the more authentic places. I don't know, maybe you have to just strip things away or whatever. But I also think the other way, there are many other ways, probably. But one of them is just trying different things. Walking in many places, being all of the things you want to be, trying it out. Enjoying yourself while doing it. Some of it will be hard and confronting, but that's part of the process. This is how we get to those deeper places of love, acceptance, knowing of self. I think that we get to a point where so much of what everybody around us is concerned about, we don't even really consider it anymore. It's like the most boring, superficial aspects of being. And if you're here, I feel like you probably understand what I'm talking about. It really is such a tiring psyops, the things that, are often pushed on us to really just wrap ourselves up in constantly. The debates over silly things. Our own internal conflicts over silly things. And maybe they're not silly. I shouldn't say silly. That's dismissive. But, over things that it's hard to understand how these are things that separate us still. Things that, make people feel elevated over one another. It does not make any sense. There are so many more interesting things to be concerned about. So many more worthy endeavors. And you know what, Pisces? I think that, you are all one of those signs that kind of just gets that. I think that, often though, you also can be pretty tormented because this is a very alienating way to kind of exist. Thankfully, in the time that we live in these days, although technology can separate us, it can also very much bring us together. I know somebody asked me, a month or two ago on here, how did you meet your husband? Well, I know everybody wants to hear some romantic, and it is romantic to us for sure. Story, like we met, somewhere on a beach or whatever, I don't know. Wherever people meet people. But guess what? We met online because we have similar interests. And we dated online for a long time before we ever met. And I don't think my husband will mind saying this, but we met and then we moved in. And then we started a family really soon after that. Sometimes the universe, just gives us the gifts that we've worked so hard to, build our lives in such a way to receive. And I feel fully that that's the case for my husband and I, that we worked very hard. We continue to. But the point is, we live in a world now where we have this opportunity to meet people who speak to our souls. It does not have to be in the material world all the time. There's so many platforms, so many places, sub-realities. Our technology, and I'm not a huge, I'm not an advocate for technology or anything necessarily, but I am I'm a child of technology. These are like the Philosopher's Stone. This is the thing that holds all of the knowledge of the universe, if we can have eyes to see. Yeah, and I think that, Pisces, if you are, if you do feel like it's hard to meet people, get to know people, look for them in places that don't seem obvious. Maybe you don't need people. Maybe you just need books or memes. Like me, memes. Or Tumblr or whatever. I love Tumblr because there's so much art, and I'm a huge lover of art. Don't have to interact with a lot of people. Just get to look at artwork for the most part. And you just have to be proactive about it, okay? But there is a need, there's a want, there's a desire for this love, this closeness, but you have to create it for yourself in a lot of ways. Nobody can hand that to you. Maybe your mother, maybe not. My mother died when I was a child, and she was wonderful. I will never speak ill of her, but she had a very hard time connecting emotionally. There's a huge wall. I've had to work my entire life to figure out how to undo that. Not because she was a bad person. Of course not. She was my mother. But some people, they just don't know how to share themselves emotionally. So we must create. We must create our sacred spaces. We must create our homes. We must create our that beautiful temple in our chest, in our mind, right? In our mind, or our eye, what is it? Mind's eye. Yes. We must be proactive. And I see 3. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 important messages coming for you. I think 2, love. Loved ones. Love. Endorsement. Being held. Being heard. Being seen. The other one, I think something financial. I feel like everything is going pretty well financially. At least a movement towards it. Keep up the work that you're doing. Keep moving with that. Okay? Gratitude, a little deck of appreciation. And we're going to check out one of these cards here. I'll just stop where it feels right. And it says, manage expectations. It's okay to be grateful for what you have while still grieving your losses. Isn't that the truth? I feel like, this is so relatable. We can still feel sore or have deep grief, lament, things out of our control, the past, whatever. And yet, appreciate what we are receiving, what we are creating. I'm excited about this new season. I feel like it is going to be very, I use the word potent a lot, but it really is. It feels so dense with emotion. I feel so moved right now. And I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me. It is an honor, honestly, truly, from my heart. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps us get into the algorithm. And the algorithm is the decider of all things here on the internet. So, if you, you know, if we do any kind of engagement with it, it makes it happy. So things like liking the video, watching the readings from the beginning to the end, sharing the readings on other social media platforms. If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing that. Other than that, if you want to leave a comment, please do. I read all of them. They mean so much to me. They are what keeps me going here. And, you know, if you're going to be super rude, I'm going to delete them or whatever. I don't mind saying that. I don't want to read that stuff. I get sometimes people saying, don't talk about yourself so much. Well, you know, full offense, go find another reader. I read how I do. Okay. It's just how or that I repeat things. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm neurodivergent. This is how I speak, communicate. This is how my brain works. And I'm tired of apologizing for it, honestly. So, you know, I love you all, but I'm going to do things how I do them. And I'm not trying to be rude about it, but I also, you know, I record a lot of readings every single week. I'm not a performer. I'm not trained. So I do it how I do it, and that's the only way I can bear it. I can't do a lot of things that I don't like to do. And if I had to do it in a way that felt unnatural to me, it would be hard. I wouldn't do these readings. So, yeah. But other than that, yes, leave a comment. I love reading them. They really do. They make my day. So I'm going to thank you, and we will talk very soon.